Hello, Twin Flames, and welcome into your reading. And we're going to be taking a look. This is right before the solar eclipse, and we're going to be taking a look at what energy is out there in the Twin Flame collective. So we'll be looking at the divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy, and then the connection itself. We'll also pull some oracle cards and see what all wants to come through. So I know right now is kind of a crazy time. There's so much heavy energy between the solar eclipse that's happening on Monday, and Mercury went into retrograde on April 1st, and then on April 5th we had Venus entering Aries, which had a lot of energy associated with that as well. So we definitely have a lot going on right now. So let's go ahead and take a look for the Twin Flames and see what all wants to come through. All right, so divine feminine in the and this is the push from the universe. We have the Hermit in our how we're showing up in the 3D is Page of Cups in reverse. How we're showing up in the soul space is the Five of Wands in reverse. And then in the challenge space, we have the Queen of Wands. In advice from Spirit, we have Four of Cups. And then the likely outcome is the World. Oh, and actually, let me scoot these out, because even though this is fine for divine feminine, when I move to divine masculine, those cards are a little bit bigger. So, and let me pop this one up just a little bit because you can't really see it very well. Okay, so looking at energetically what we have happening here, the Hermit energy. So that is the push from the universe. So right now, divine feminine is feeling that sense of just needing to kind of get away, needing to have that period of self-reflection. And so remember that Hermit energy is when you have that deep introspection and that reflection and soul searching. A lot of that is almost like you want to do it on your own. And, if you feel like you've been more antisocial lately or more withdrawn, it's because you're really doing that deep soul searching. But remember, that's also, and you can see it in this card, is there's this sense of shining the light for others. So it's like you're going through this process of self-reflection and trying to find that inner wisdom so that you can shine the light for others as well. So that's the push from the universe, is learn how to master that, learn how to sit in that energy so that you can share that wisdom. How the divine feminine is showing up in the 3D is this sense of self-awareness. There's also kind of a sadness, though, of accepting what can't change. So there is a little bit of realization that's starting to come in. And this could be about the situation with your masculine, if things are not maybe moving as quickly as you would like, or moving exactly in the direction that you would like, then there is kind of this sense of sadness about it, and that idea of, okay, well, I can't change, I can't make my masculine do the work. I can't make them choose to want to be with me instead of if they're with another partner, or if they're totally committed to their job, or other family dynamics, or whatever the case may be. So there's a little bit of sadness that comes with that. And how the divine feminine is showing up in the soul space is this Five of Wands in reverse. So there is a sense of peace and resolution that, okay, fine, that maybe this is all just part of the journey. And it is also about finding solutions as well, but there is that element of just understanding that you can't change things. You kind of just have to let them be the way they're meant to be. And oftentimes in a lot of the groups that I'm in, I'll see comments like this where it's, divine feminine saying, oh, masculine is, are they just a narcissist, and kind of that sort of slant, like, well, if they just, if they would just get on board, this would be so much easier. Which, while yes, that might be true, that also is that has a narcissistic thread that's running through it, because it's almost as if the divine feminine is saying, well, if they only knew what I knew or could understand this connection the way it is, like the way I understand it, then of course they would want to be in union with me right now. And that's, that is exactly the way narcissists think, is the only reason somebody could have a different opinion is because they just don't know everything that I know. So a lot of times with divine feminine, one of the lessons they need to learn is, from patience, from the standpoint of there could still be other lessons that the masculine has to learn before they're able to come into union. So, so there is kind of a little bit of that understanding. It seems like it's starting to come through, because there is a sense of like peace and resolution with the fact that things are the way they are. In the challenge space, we have the Queen of Wands energy. And so the challenge is still to stay joyful and confident and courageous. A lot of the confidence part is going to be staying confident in the fact that your connection is where it's supposed to be. You may not want it to be at that place yet, but it is where it's supposed to be, because it needs to progress at a certain speed. Both of you have healing to do, and so the masculine needs to work on their healing, the feminine needs to work on theirs. Advice from Spirit with our Four of Cups energy. This is kind of this contemplation, and it usually has a sense of gloom to it, but in this deck, when you look at it, this contemplation is actually more like, let's see, can I get it to focus in on the card? It's actually more like meditation. So the other cups are still around them, this figure, and this one is embracing it. So in a lot of the decks, and I don't know, we may or may not end up seeing it in that card in the traditional deck here. It's like the divine is holding out a cup and the figure sitting under the tree is looking away like, no thanks. But in this deck, the figure is actually embracing it and meditating and thinking about it. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not as maybe ominous as it is in a traditional deck. So this is about contemplation. So that's the advice from Spirit, is you need to work on your meditation. You need to work on your grounding and your centering. And then the likely outcome is the world. So that is about finding that success. It is finding that triumph, that recognition, that fulfillment. It's also about closing out of a cycle. And with this, if you've kind of been stuck, like you're accepting what can't change, but you're figuring out how to move past that in a positive, optimistic, healthy type of a way, as opposed to fixating and dwelling and stewing on what you can't change. And that's what it's going to take to break that cycle. So let's take a look at the bottom of the deck and see what other energies are coming through. So this is either, subconscious or kind of next levels of energy preparing to come through. So the first level here, we have our Knight of Swords in reverse, and that's going to be about a little bit, there's this kind of scattered energy, like a lack of focus, don't really know what direction to go, but it's like you're trying to move towards, you're being drawn towards the sun, which is your blessings. It's just a matter of how do you get there? And then your Ace of Pentacles in reverse is about missed opportunities, and actually so is the Knight of Swords, is missed opportunities. And so some of those, when it's talking about that sun energy, is you've missed the opportunity to fall into your blessings because maybe in the past you've been dwelling a little bit too much on what can't change. But you can see, it's like you can see the sun, you just haven't gotten to those blessings yet. The next level of energy after that, we have Queen of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, and Four of Wands. So the Queen of Pentacles energy is that luxury, that comfortable energy. Your Six of Pentacles is about charity and giving help and that generous energy. And then your Four of Wands, that is that twin flame card. That is that twin flame union. And so the next level of energy coming in, if you can find yourself in this peaceful state of balance and really grounding yourself, understanding the journey for what it is and not trying to push, not trying to control the flow, just understanding that it is what it is and it's going to come together when the timing is right. The timing will be right and it will come together. So that was our energy for the divine feminine. So really beautiful that kind of that other level of energy there is that twin flame union energy. And some of it too, remember, union, it's not just about 3D physical union. It's also integrating your own internal masculine and feminine. It's finding that peace, finding that understanding or understanding of the oneness and moving past your separation mentality. All right, let us take a look at divine masculine and see what all wants to come through for divine masculine. All right. The push from the universe, we have Ace of Swords in reverse. How they're showing up in the 3D is Page of Swords. Showing up in the soul space is the 8 of Swords in reverse. In the challenge space, we have King of Cups in reverse. Advice from Spirit is the 6 of Cups. And likely outcome is the 10 of Wands. Oof. Okay, so that's heavy on the likely outcome here. So let's just start at the beginning here with our Ace of Swords in reverse. For divine masculine, there's this, the push from the universe is, you know, what they're feeling right now is a lot of lack of focus and confusion and chaos. So the push from the universe is like, what is the energy that is pushing down on divine masculine right now? And it is a big sense of confusion. It is a lot of chaos and a lot of loss of focus. So that means that energetically, they're just kind of confused. And some of this, you know, with the eclipse coming up, it could be a matter of them receiving downloads and activations and things like that. And it's overwhelming. They just don't know what to do with it. In the 3D, the divine masculine is showing up as Page of Swords, which is kind of that sense of, you know, planning and curiosity and looking at what changes should they be making, because they're feeling so confused and they know that they don't want to be in that situation, but it's a matter of how do they plan to get out of it. So there's the beginnings of this planning to get out of that energy, out of that situation. Now in the soul space, showing up as 8 of Swords in reverse, that is excellent. That means that they are taking control of their situation. So from a soul space perspective, they are looking at breaking free from what is keeping them feeling trapped. They're gaining perspective on what are they really here to do? What should they be doing? And it's a sense of breaking out. So usually it's what happens in the soul space. It's going to happen there first, and then it's going to push into their 3D experience. So they're already starting to break out at the soul level. So now it's just a matter of starting to catch up a little bit in the 3D. The challenge, though, here is our King of Cups in reverse. The challenge is there's so much worry and stress, and they feel like they're being manipulated. Not necessarily by their feminine, but there's other situations or circumstances that are making them feel like they're being manipulated. And so for them, that's something really big to overcome. And it could also be that they're confused about, what is this energy that I'm feeling? Is this even really real, or am I making this all up in my head? So that, you know, for them, because that is the energy that's pushing down on them, is this confusion and lack of focus. There is this element of them feeling like, am I being manipulated? Even if they can't specifically pinpoint that, there's a fear that, wait a second, maybe this is just some like big cosmic joke. Maybe this isn't really what I think it is. Advice from Spirit is the 6 of Cups. So that is a sense of comfort and nostalgia. So it's they're being pushed, like advice from Spirit is find that inner happy place for them. And that comfort and nostalgia usually has to do also with tradition, but what are the things that make them feel kind of warm and fuzzy and at home. And how can they get themselves back to that feeling? You know, before they grew up in the world, you know, put all these other stresses and pressures on them. But their likely outcome is they're still really struggling right now. So they're feeling overburdened, and their likely outcome here is they're feeling this struggle. They're feeling like there's so much in the way of responsibility, and this is so heavily weighing on them. Let's take a look at the bottom of the deck and see what else is coming through. So next level of energy coming through is the Fool, Page of Wands in reverse, and Nine of Cups in reverse. And then after that, ooh, lots of major arcana here. And then the next level after that is the Moon in reverse, Hierophant in reverse, and the Hanged Man in reverse. So for divine masculines, there's this next level of energy coming in of taking that step, taking that leap of faith. And then also it's like they're being pushed to do that, but they also have this indecisive, like directionless energy that's going on and feeling like they're unfulfilled or disappointed, you know. So it's like it's that internal war that they're feeling this. So they feel like, okay, fine, maybe I just need to do something totally different. If they've been kind of churning this and, you know, they've been making plans, but it's not really coming together, and it's just making them feel even more burned out and stressed out. So, you know, that kind of reaches a breaking point here in terms of feeling just like I said, the disappointment and feeling like they just don't know what direction to go. So it's almost like, do I just throw my hands up in the air and say, all right, I'm going for it, or I'm going in a totally different direction. The next level of energy after that, so we have the Moon in reverse, which is more confusion, and there's kind of some repressed emotions going on there. But it is also causing them to have this sense of wanting to break the rules, think outside of the box. Like if they've been churning through some of these scenarios and they just don't know what to do, it's that push of, do I just need to make my own rules? Because playing by the rules up until this point has not gotten me anywhere. But there's still that sense of indecision and stalling and some self-sacrifice there. So let's see, let's pull a timing card. When does it seem, so Spirit, when does this indecisive energy break for the divine masculine? When do they finally start to get some clarity and push to move forward? Summer. Okay. And then let's pull a couple more cards. With this stagnant energy, what is the main cause of this stagnant energy? So tell me a little bit about this stagnant energy and what is the cause of it? Two of Wands in reverse and Four of Cups. So, so some of the cause of this is that they're avoiding making a change. So they're feeling stagnant because they're avoiding making a change, and there's a lot of apathy that's going with that. You know, they don't particularly want to make a change, and they feel like, oh, well, if I make a change, does that make me a failure? And it kind of puts them in this gloomy type of energy. The interesting thing, so this came up as advice from Spirit for Divine Feminine, and this is what I meant, that when you look at these two cards, look at the difference in how they read. So for Divine Feminine, the Four of Cups is that meditation, reflection, sitting there, and it's almost like a reverent type of pose, versus over here in the traditional deck, it's like this sense of pessimism or gloominess, like, I know I have my cups here and the divine's trying to give me something else and I'm just, whatever. So see what I mean? There's like a big difference there in how that feels. So there's a gloominess that kind of settles over divine masculine when they think about making changes, because it's like they're trying to avoid change. Like they're not very comfortable with it. So that's something that they are trying to break free of, is this idea of once you choose a path, you're stuck on that path. So that's what divine masculine is working on right now. So now let's take a look at the connection in general. So here I have my Amazonite out. This is also Amazonite, and that is about the connection and balancing between divine masculine and divine feminine energy. So whether that's in a twin flame scenario or even balancing your own inner masculine and inner feminine. All right. So with the connection itself, we'll just do the 6. And let's take a look and see what all energy is coming through here for the twin flame connection right now. All right, the push for the connection, we have our Ace of Cups in reverse. Is that? Oh, that was Ace of Swords in reverse. How the connection is showing up in the 3D right now is Knight of Swords. How the connection is sitting in the 5D is 3 of Wands in reverse. The challenge for the connection right now is death. And advice from Spirit for the connection is the High Priestess. And the likely outcome is our 10 of Cups in reverse. So for now, energetically, the push on the connection from the universe is this Ace of Cups in reverse, which is about feeling unloved and lost. So there's definitely a strain on the connection right now, and looking at the individual energies in play here, with the divine feminine kind of in a little bit of that reclusive energy while they're thinking and processing and growing, and having that reflection. And then with the masculine energy being your Ace of Swords in reverse, which is kind of this confusion. It's, to some extent, it's no wonder that the lovey feeling is not flowing as strong right now for the connection for some of the twins. Then how the connection is showing up is this Knight of Swords. So this is, I believe that's Taurus and Gemini, take however that resonates. But the Knight of Swords energy, how the connection is showing up right now is there's a little bit of an impulsivity, because there's some frustration that the energy has kind of changed and it's not the same close, lovey energy that's usually there. There's a little bit of this impulsive energy pushing on the connection right now. And how the connection is sitting in the 5D space is the 3 of Wands in reverse. So it's a little bit of, there's some clinging to the past. So if there's been some past frustrations within the connection, it's like that's still kind of lingering there, and that's creating some obstacles and some stagnancy. And there's also some stagnancy within the connection, just in general, because each of the individual components have some, I guess, delays going on as well. So the challenge right now is death. And with that isn't to say that in the challenge is that the whole connection is going to go away. No, it's more that there's some sort of transformation and a closing of an old chapter that needs to happen within the connection to move it forward to the next, I'll call it the next phase. And that's the challenge, is if either or both of the partners or the twins are clinging to the past, that's not allowing the connection to go through the cycle that it needs to in order for it to evolve. Advice from Spirit is the High Priestess, which is the divine feminine energy. So it's really that push of loving, kind, tender type of energy to be coming in. And that's also about tapping into the higher consciousness and tapping into that inner wisdom. So that's what the advice from Spirit is. And then the likely outcome is the 10 of Cups in reverse, which is actually like some trouble, some, maybe some feuds, and potentially some separation, whether that's a physical separation, like not talking at all in the 3D, or just kind of that feeling of each person kind of retreating to their corners, while they're figuring out what all is going on. So that's kind of the energy that's out there if this is the flow of your connection right now. So let's take a look and at some oracle cards, and then actually before we do that, let's pull a couple more of these. So what other, I guess, advice from spirit? So now remember, based on the energy, you're being pushed to embody more of that divine feminine energy. What else at the connection level is going to be important to help keep the connection online or keep it moving forward? So we have Justice in reverse and Three of Swords. So this is a little bit, the struggle for the connection right now is that things are out of balance and there's some sorrow and some heartbreak that's happening. And that's the part that needs to be addressed. So some of it with this Three of Wands in reverse, where there's frustrations and clinging to past heartaches. This is really key. So this is what needs to be resolved. There's, I think, some issues of trust and hurt that haven't been addressed. And so that's what's keeping the connection, in this likely outcome of the Ten of Cups. So it's almost like if you just keep throwing more love on the situation, you're maybe not actually healing what needs to be healed. All right, let's take a look at a couple oracle cards here. Relationships. I'm attracted to those people who serve my higher good. So let's pull another one as well, because this is for a twin flame connection. Purpose. I know what I'm here to do. So some of this is a matter of needing to tie into what is your purpose here. And those cards are kind of going together. And your purpose could be within your twin flame connection, that you and your twin, you have some sort of joint mission or purpose, but also you're attracted to people who serve your higher good. And this doesn't necessarily mean romantically attracted, but just in terms of friend groups, that you're drawn to spend time with people who serve your higher good. And remember, lessons can serve your higher good even if they don't feel good, but there's growth. So shut down, a couple of cards here, shut down that toxic positivity. If you aren't happy, make different choices. And we'll do one more. Right path, wrong approach. So with that card, that shut down that toxic positivity. So remember, you need to be able to heal. So that involves experiencing a range of different emotions. And within that range of emotions, know that you're not a spiritual robot. You don't have to be beaming sunshine and butterflies and rainbows all day long if that's not really what you're feeling. So if you're telling yourself that you're not allowing yourself to experience anything other than positive, happy, flowy thoughts, you're masking other healing that needs to be done. You're masking other inner work that you could and should be doing. So make sure that you're not just forcing yourself to sit in that positive energy all the time. If there's something that's upsetting you, let it upset you so that you can understand why, so that you can work on correcting it. And this is that reminder, if you aren't happy, make different choices. So if you want something different in your life, you have to make different choices. And then you're on the right path. So this right path, wrong approach. If you're on the right path in terms of if you're wanting to try to bring union between you and your twin, that's the right path, that you're trying to move towards that. Wrong approach means take a look at the way you're interacting with your twin and with the dynamic. Are you trying to force your twin into a different place than where they are naturally comfortable being? There's a difference in helping to encourage the person to be the best version of themselves and the twin feeling like they're being strong-armed into moving down a direction or a path that they are not comfortable with, that maybe you're trying to move them faster than they want. I was watching, this was it's a couple that they, you know, she does most of the twin flame readings on their channel, but sometimes she'll have her masculine on there. And one of the lessons that she said she had learned from him was that he was getting frustrated because it was like she was trying to speed him through his lessons. Like, well, here, you know, you just do this and this and this, and then we're done. And he said, no, you know, part of it is I have to learn my lessons at my own speed. And if you're trying to rush me through it, I'm not really learning what I'm supposed to be learning. So make sure that that you're not taking the wrong approach of trying to speed your counterpart along when there's really an important lesson that they need to learn. All right, and this is from the Twin Flame deck, staying grounded. So make sure, especially over the next week or so, to really, really focus on your grounding. I know there's a lot of crazy energy out there with, like I said at the beginning of the read, with all of the energy of Mercury in retrograde, Venus entering Aries, and the solar eclipse right now. There's so much energy out there. So make sure you're staying grounded. So this is kind of just the energy of where things are right now, like right on the shadow period of this eclipse. I will do another reading at the end of next week. So kind of after the eclipse has happened, give it a couple days to let the energy settle down a little bit, and then I'll do an updated read. So remember, with these reads, if you don't like what any of the outcomes look like, you can change the way you're interacting with your experience right now to be able to get a different result. So when we have the likely outcomes coming up, that's based on the energy right now. So you have the ability to change that energy, to change that experience. So think about that over the next couple of days, especially as you're working on setting your intentions when the eclipse comes up. So make sure that you're thinking about what is it that you want so that you can put that out there to the universe to draw in more of the experience you want. Don't worry about the experiences you don't want to happen. Focus on the energy and the experience you do want to happen. So make sure that you are staying grounded, and there will be some additional readings on the channel. I'll be doing a special eclipse reading for each individual zodiac sign, as well as the is this your person, things like that. So make sure that you check those out and hit the subscribe and notification bell to be alerted when those videos post. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.